Hi, I'm Luigi, and we are here at the Denver Art Museum for Real World Apps Chemistry. We're here at one of the 3 conservation labs at the Denver Art Museum with our 2 art conservators. What are your names?
My name is Sarah Melching. I'm Director of Art Conservation here at the Denver Art Museum.
And I'm Courtney Murray, and I'm a graduate intern at the Denver Art Museum in Objects Conservation.
So for those at home who may not know what an art conservator is, what is an art conservator?
Well, an art conservator is someone who's responsible for the long-term preservation of artwork. And we work to preserve by 2 methods. Preventive conservation is sort of like controlling the environment so that we can slow down the degradation of materials over the long term. And interventive conservation is where we actually intervene to bring something back to sort of how it should look.
We want to ensure that your grandchildren and their grandchildren thereafter will be able to appreciate them.
Both of you obviously went to school, as you said, you're a graduate intern. So what was your undergrad work at, college?
I attended the University of Kansas, and I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in the history of art. I primarily studied a lot of studio art history, as well as a foreign language.
My undergraduate degree is in chemistry from Emory University, and I studied chemistry as well as art history and visual arts. So sort of the opposite of what Sarah did.
Many of our viewers are in high school, so I guess the question is, if they want to become an art conservator, do they necessarily have to be a good high school student?
In my experience, I've met people with, varying degrees of enthusiasm and success in levels of school along the way. To get into the graduate school programs, however, you do need to show some consistency in your earnestness and achievement in academics.
And it is not only science that happens here, it's very art heavy. So what got you both interested in art in the first place? I mean, especially like yourself, who you said you were very science-y at first, and then the art sort of came along, so
ever since I was a little kid, I loved to work with my hands. I was also very practical, and I loved the science part. So I knew I didn't want to work as an artist alone. I've never been the most creative person in the world. I'm good at mimicking someone else's work, but I've never been good at coming up with my own body of artwork.
I've made art my whole life, but another sort of fixation of mine as a child was fixing things. And so when I figured out I could combine art and fixing things, I thought, I found it, I figured it out.
Do you have to be an artist to be an art conservator, or?
I always have said that anyone can learn to make art.
What chemicals would you guys use preserving a sculpture or an art or a painting?
When it comes into our lab, one of the first things that we do is spot testing. And essentially what we're doing is sometimes there's an old adhesive or an old coating on a sculpture that we would want to remove. So we'll do some tests with different solvents to determine what solvent is appropriate to pick up only the layer that we want to remove without damaging the layer below.
So we've actually got a piece here that Courtney is actually working on. Who is this guy?
So this piece is actually King Casper of the 3 kings in the nativity story, and he was made in 18th century Ecuador. And they're made to be devotional figures, and they were used in churches or in homes. They could be paraded around. And so this is King Casper, and he actually has a horse that he rides on normally, and I'm also working on the horse. But the horse can't stand up right now, and so that's why Casper is sitting on this
Mailbox.
foam horse at the moment.
So this is actually gold on here that we can see that's kind of been rubbed on there.
It's called gold leaf. It's really thin gold that's pounded into sheets, and then it's applied to the surface. What I'm doing to King Casper is he came in, and so what I'm doing is I'm actually filling the joints. You can see the white there is my fill material that's bridging the gap. He is missing a couple of fingers, and I have them here in my hand.
They're tiny.
So I made them separately, and I will attach them with an adhesive so that they can, of course, be removed later if somebody would like to do that.
A very clean and professional job by the art conservators at the Denver Art Museum.
Subscribe!
Come on, push the button.
You know you want to.
Do it.